In 1633, a man stood before the Roman Inquisition. His crime? Looking through the telescope and saying something utterly outrageous, that the earth moves around the sun. This man was Galileo Galilei. Centuries later, a girl was demeaned, shamed, and even victim to an assassination attempt. Was she a criminal? No. She was simply an activist who fought for basic rights like education for girls. Such stories from around the world in recent and in ancient history is what deepens my fascination about our society as a whole, because it teaches us the power of human conscience and consensus, how people and power have for years, decades, centuries been so deathly scared of voices that oppose, individuals who take a stand, and minds that simply wonder, to the point that for years, though our minds machinate, our tongues stay tied. But why does this happen? Well, different people have different explanations, but if you ask me, I would say that society, quite obviously, does not want to be questioned. Because regardless of how small your rebuke is, it still, at the end of the day, challenges the structure that keeps our society so comfortable. Now, you don't have to start massive protests to challenge society. That's exactly why some sociologists say its structure is so delicate. Let's look at it this way. You, as an individual, play a very important role in society. Therefore, your decisions affect it directly. For example, a boy may be encouraged to pursue a more traditionally masculine career, like being an engineer, even though he may want to pursue a more traditionally feminine career, like being a preschool teacher. This is where the concept of cost-benefit analysis comes in, an important concept in many subject areas, whether it be sociology or economics, simply because it helps us make all kinds of decisions, whether it be to go get some ice cream, or in this boy's case, choose a future career. Because cost-benefit analysis allows us to weigh out the costs, but also the benefits of certain actions. So, if you look at it this way, if this boy were to go against the norms and values set for him, he will have to look at the benefits, like doing what he's truly passionate about, but also the costs, like his parents being mad at him, his friends making fun of him, and being looked upon as the black sheep. So this can be tough, because as human beings, we want to avoid punishments and get rewards for our actions. That's why some sociologists say that societies create a downward force onto an individual. If we stay static, everything stays normal. However, if you push against this downward force, that's when things get tricky. Imagine this, the weight of 1,000 elephants on one tiny person. Yeah, that's the kind of downward force I'm talking about. But just because it's difficult doesn't mean we shouldn't speak up. Our voices, our thoughts, our opinions are what make us people rather than just humans. I stand here speaking about something I find important to talk about because I know my voice matters and yours does too. I know that maybe not everyone, but some people may find it easier to speak up if I give them reasons to, tell them that their voice matters as well. We as people are meant to socialize and communicate, yet we silence ourselves the moment our opinions differ from others. Because it's easier to stay quiet when something makes you uncomfortable. It's easier to stay quiet when something makes you angry. It's always easy to stay quiet. But easy doesn't always equal beneficial. Great, now you have been listening to me talk about speaking your mind for the past few minutes. But some things are easier said than done. So let me tell you exactly how to speak your mind. To begin with, sometimes it's not really the speaking out aspect that's difficult. Sometimes it's the aspect of us thinking, well, what if they feel bad? Well, what if they think I'm stupid? Well, what's the point? It's not like they'll listen to me anyways. In those moments, breathe, detangle your thoughts. Personally, I tell myself that even sociology believes that human behavior cannot be completely predicted. That no matter how hard we try, we cannot predict human behavior like how we predict the weather. But the best we can do is try. Try to speak up on something that made us uncomfortable, or speak out about an idea that has been spinning in our minds like a whirlwind. Another important aspect I talked about earlier was the cost-benefit analysis. We must learn to alter it sometimes. Let's say a friend said something you didn't particularly like. Naturally, you'll think the benefits of confronting this friend will only be expressing how you feel. Meanwhile, the cost may be them being mad at you. Or worse, what if they hate you and ditch you and you become friendless forever? Well, that's one way to look at it. Or you can look at it this way. A benefit may be you creating a boundary and avoiding this from happening again. And the worst that may happen, a cost may be that they feel a bit offended. Either way, congrats. You just lifted a huge weight off your chest. Now, Galileo once whispered, and yet it moves. He couldn't stop the earth from spinning simply because he was told it cannot. That's exactly why it's so important to speak up. For example, Greta Thunberg was only 15 when she protested against the lack of action against climate change. A girl who couldn't even legally vote at the time started an entire environmental movement. That's why it's so important to speak up and listen to those who do. Now, I'm not asking you to go stand in front of a parliament house with a cardboard sign in your hand. But I do want to say that our voices are powerful. They not only inspire ourselves, but also others. So why not take advantage of that? Who knows? Maybe it could be a start of something new.